Hi, everyone. Welcome to NJGAAE Presents. I'm Jocelyn Jeffries. You guys know me. You've been tuning in for a year now. And I'm going to pass you over to our guest, who I'm super excited to talk to today because of a lot of reasons.
Hi, I'm Indigo Mac. I'm 22 years old. I'm from New Jersey, and I make music.
Groovy. So, a couple of things before we really get into it. Some things about Indigo Mac, some things about general house cleaning, things about this stream. So, get the stuff about the stream out of the way. June is the last time we'll be doing NJGAE presents for right now. We may be starting it back up in September. We'll see. But over the summer, it's going to be the summer of student voices. So keep a lookout for that. And then also get ready for our student voices next week, more than likely on the 10th. So that's super, super exciting. And then now let's talk about stuff about Indigo Mac, because that's who we're here for. Um, so I listened to your new album. She just released an album called Flight to Venus, which is super cool. And we're gonna go through it and talk about each song and the inspiration behind it, and also some of your singles from before, most likely. And we're gonna talk about your new project coming up, and then also something that breaks from what we've been doing before. Some people who've been on who haven't won a governor's award. Some people who've been on who won a governor's award. Indigo didn't, but that does not mean she is not worthy of one. So we are hoping possibly in the future. But with that, I'd love to get into and just kind of talk about where you started and talk about. Um, we'll focus, I guess, on arts education like in the beginning because I'm curious on what your arts education background is like, and then when you started producing music.
Okay, awesome. So I would just say, okay, I've been singing like my entire life. So it's not really, I think it's just a natural gift that was given to me because my dad is also a singer and a guitarist. So I feel like, his genes passed down the gift to me. And I guess that's where I get it from. So going to all girls Catholic private school, I was always in, the choirs, and I would do musicals, and I was a theater kid, so all that stuff really fascinated me, and I just always loved music since I was young. And so I would say once I graduated high school and started college, my freshman year, that's when I really decided I was gonna start making music and take it more serious. Just because like I know that I have the gift, and I'm like, I might as well use it because I did not want to be like 50 years old and like looking back, wishing I would have used my gifts a lot more. So I just decided to start then.
Absolutely. I was just having a conversation with my mom about she commented that like the hustle part of her life, she's happy it's over, which is cool because she's a teacher, so she's kind of settled in now. But I think for artists, the hustle just keeps on going forever and ever because we're hustling to get things created, we're hustling to keep going, and we're hustling to, stay on trend and also stay true to ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think that's a really valuable thing which you've hit on
Yeah,
is
for
that
sure.
hustle aspect.
Hmm.
Also, a comment to everyone, please comment below. We already have one that is from Deborah Barksdale, and she said, "Can't wait," which is super exciting, and I hope you're here.
Yes, I
Um,
love.
so wow, the private school aspect is interesting to me because I went to a private school
Hmm.
and we didn't have much. We had some of a arts program, but like it was really small. So how was that for you? Were you just part of it, or did you do more of like what did you do in that arts program, and what was your favorite thing essentially?
So I was in the school choir, and we would like travel and go to different states and perform. Like we performed at Carnegie Hall, we performed at Disney, so we were like that traveling choir. This was in high school though.
That's still
But
amazing though.
yeah, yeah, no, it was a great experience, and also like I was in musicals, so we had like a fifth grade musical, we had an eighth grade musical, and we had high school musicals all throughout ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. So yeah, like just doing that and, getting comfortable being on stage. I still get nervous to this day on stage because, I don't think the nerves ever go away.
That makes sense. I don't think like there's professional like Broadway people who they talk about how they still get stage fright and
Yeah,
they've been doing it for
absolutely.
40 years.
Mhm. So it definitely did help with just understanding how performances work and especially with musicals, learning like the tech stuff behind it, the lighting, like finding perfect aesthetics for the show. So I just been like learning a lot about that. And I feel like going to private school definitely helped me in that aspect. And just being around a bunch of other creative kids who,
Mm,
have dreams just like I do. I feel like it was a good experience.
definitely. Um, so you mentioned that in the beginning of college was when you started to really take production of music seriously. And so like where are you now and what were your first steps into what was the transition?
Okay, so my freshman year of college, I really was just playing around. Like, I linked up with some of my friends, and I was like, okay, like we had similar taste in music, so we just went to the studio at our school, and we were just playing around, just singing anything in the mic, like just trying to figure out what sound we liked, what sounded good. And so me and one of my friends, we made a song, and it was actually kind of good. And so I was like, wait, like I kind of have a talent here, like it's one thing to be a good singer, but it's another to be an artist and to actually like curate sounds and create lyrics and things like that. So when I found out I could do that, I definitely decided like, okay, I'm gonna see what else I can do. So it turned into me going on YouTube and looking up different kind of beats and seeing what
Mhm.
I could sing on and like what sounds interested me. And it was like a
Mhm.
4-year journey of just me trying to figure out what sounds I liked. Um, and one day, I never been into like a formal studio, so one day I saw someone post on Instagram that they were having studio sessions, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take a leap of faith and go. Cause I'm a very shy girl, like especially growing up, I was very awkward and, just like to myself. And so going to a studio with like a random engineer and stuff, it was just a very new experience for me. And it definitely helped me get out of my comfort zone. So when I did that, I linked up with that producer and we just vibed together. We created
Mm.
something. And that's when I was like, you know what, this is what I really want to do. And then now I kind of just make my own music due to the pandemic. So it's been a long journey, but I'm
Mhm.
finally like getting in the groove of it, and now I can like work on things by myself because I've been
Absolutely.
taught a lot over the years.
Yeah, I wanted to comment. I listened to the entire album of Flight to Venus earlier today, and I wanted to comment about the production quality. I listened to a lot of like indie artists because I like listen to different vibes of music, but
Mhm.
I listen to a lot of indie artists because lyrics are really what I'm here for. And so that's where a lot of the best lyrics typically are. And the quality on yours was superb. It was like I didn't even know that like yeah, it was just really,
Wow,
really
thank you
nice.
so much. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Um, and then I really want to get into like the lyrics, and I also want to know. So you mentioned that you go on YouTube and you found some beats. So I want to know about if you've created your own beats at any point, and then because I know that's a specific like thing. I don't know much about it, but I know it's a thing. And then I want to know what the like licensing is for when you find it on YouTube.
Okay, so with YouTube beats, I just
Mhm.
look up free beats that I could use for nonprofit, and I just put those on my SoundCloud page. I
Mhm.
don't put those on all platforms.
Mhm.
But the songs that I put on all platforms, I want them to be like my songs. So
Mhm.
I seek out producers, work with them, see what kind of sounds they curate, and if it aligns with what I'm looking for, then we do it that way. As far as Flight to Venus, I connected with a producer that we went to the same college. We
Mhm.
both went to Dickinson College in
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. And he was a freshman, I was a senior, so it's like he's entering school, I'm leaving school, and we're both just trying to create. So it just
Mhm.
worked out perfectly. And when I heard the beats, I was like, wow, this is very otherworldly. And that was the sound I was looking for. So I just decided to go ahead with it, started writing to it, and it just got created.
Definitely. I did notice it had a very nautical's not the right word, aquatic's not the right word. It had a very space theme, like it had a very space vibe to it. I don't remember
Mhm.
what the word is, and I thought about it this morning and then it was just gone. But it fit. It fit out the entire brand was very cohesive, which is something that I find valuable as like a brand curator and as someone who has been doing a stream and has done other things and is curating my own brand, you have to keep it cohesive or it's not gonna track. If someone looks at something here and then looks at something here, they need to look similar or look the same for it to be the same,
Right.
which is something that people don't typically think about, but it's really, really important.
Mhm.
And then some comments. So we have one from Manny King. It was just a couple of emojis, but very cute. And then Julia, who works for the organization, and you guys have seen her on the stream before, and is also the reason why we connected up with Indigo. She said that Flight to Venus is incredible, which is true.
Thank you, Julia.
Um, so so you find free beats, which is interesting,
Mhm.
and then what I noticed you had some singles on there as well,
Mhm. So
and I want to know about those essentially.
yeah, awesome. So I recorded that single before Flight to Venus was even a thought.
Mhm.
So me and my friend from college, we just came together. I went to his dorm and we just recorded it right there. And I didn't know when I was gonna drop it. I didn't know if I wanted to add it to a project. So I just dropped it as a single,
Mhm.
like after the pandemic hit and everything. And I just didn't know where I was gonna go next. But then once I curated Flight to Venus, I created it. I felt like this single would go perfect with it, so I just added it to it, and it just completely flowed with the story that I was
Mhm.
trying to tell. Um, yeah, so
Absolutely. And then one more question before we get into like each song and the story you're trying to tell, the cohesive story, because I'm very curious about that.
mhm.
Because I only really had the opportunity to listen to it like twice through. So it's gone. Where did it go? The question. It's gone. Okay. Well, we'll come back later. My question was gone.
Oh, it's okay. I also wanted to add,
Yeah.
so okay, I used to be afraid to
Mhm.
put music out because I didn't have the resources to make it sound as professional as I would like for it
Mhm.
to sound. And so, if I were to say anything to any aspiring artist, I
Mhm.
would say, um, please don't limit yourself or make yourself feel like your music has to sound a certain way for it to be good. Because to be honest with you, I created Flight to Venus all on GarageBand. I did not use any major platforms like Logic that cost money or um, Pro Tools or anything like that. I literally used GarageBand, which is a free music software on
Mhm.
Apple computer. So honestly, please don't limit yourself if you're an aspiring artist. You could literally make music on your iPad and it could still sound beautiful. I just played around with so much EQ and trying to mix and master it myself, and it definitely sounded just as professional as any other song out there. And so I think it's so important not to limit yourself. You can still use what you have and create awesome content. So that's another pointer.
Definitely. And with that, it came back. I wanted to know what your goals are, where do you want to go? And if you don't necessarily have a plan, that's cool too.
Yeah, honestly, with my music, I definitely do want to keep making music, even if it's not my number one career. I definitely do want to just keep using my gifts to create new sounds and hopefully just inspire other people to create. That's like my main purpose. I just want to inspire others to be their authentic selves and to create things that may not be understood right now, but it'll be understood later, or it'll at least be appreciated by someone. So
That's
that's pretty much my main intention.
There's two notes on that. That's a beautiful note. And then I have no idea how to make music. I make film and I know how to use music, but I have
Mhm,
no idea how to make it. I've tried. It comes out like it has a story and
mhm,
it has like lyrics, but they just end up being like poems essentially with a
mhm,
beat in the back.
mhm,
It just is very strange every time I try to make music. But then I see artists like you who like it just is part of you, and I'm so inspired by that. And um you look for people to help curate your sounds and help you make the beat, and I look for people who can help me make music because I need it for my things, and this is why we build community,
absolutely.
um and this is why we it's important to, when you're an artist, not think about just what you're creating, think about what other people could create with you and what you would want and how you could help others while helping yourself, and just in balancing it and just meeting new people, because that is where it's really the connection is going to come, and the balance of production is going to come.
Mhm, absolutely.
Definitely. And then there's a musical called Title of Show, and they say the song is nine people's favorite thing, and that song is awesome, and that's what that reminded me of, because they talk about wanting to be nine people's favorite thing rather than 100 people's ninth favorite thing,
Mhm.
which I've taken so much and just like I wrote it into my code, and I that's what it reminded me of, your speech there, because it is the same sort of feeling, and it's
Mhm,
so valuable. It's such a valuable way to look at it.
mhm.
So with that, I want to share my screen really quickly to show the art for your album, and then I'm on Apple Music because that's the music that I had open, even though I don't necessarily use Apple Music. But it's not going down. Let's see here. So when I'll work to get this up while you're because I'll stop my screen and I'll
Mhm,
find it again. But do
mhm.
you want to kind of go through what your like process is like for your album cover, and then we can get into like the details of the album?
Yes. So, we're talking about my album cover, correct?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I named this project Flight to Venus because I know that we can't go to Venus, but I just wanted people to connect with their imagination a little bit and sort of astral travel while they're listening to my music. Just kind of imagine things in their head that I guess that promotes like flying to another planet. So um because this was about love mostly, I decided to have, the pink tones in the background. Um, I'm a very spiritual person, so I have rose quartz as hearts on the ground or at the bottom of the planet, and um, I'm in the middle right there because I guess it's my story. And so, yeah, I liked the font because it was giving off a sort of spaceship kind of techie feel to it. So that was my main decision on why I wanted to have the cover that way.
I'm also curious about the barcode, because I see you have one for over your name, and then you have one over top of the title.
Hmm.
And what is the cohesive nature of that? And is it specific? Like, would it bring you somewhere, or?
I don't think it's specific. I think it's just giving off this spacey, techie, like kind of feel that I was trying to go for. It was kind of like alien like I'm thinking like, okay, if aliens were to type something, what would it look like? I just thought about that, and so I kept the font as that.
Very nice. And then it's over top. It's over top of it. So there's that space, which is I didn't even notice until I just looked at it because it looks like as a cohesive whole. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it looks like it's a cohesive whole here. But then it's separate, and it's really really nice.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
Of
I
course.
want to shout out my best friend because she's
Mm,
the person who created this artwork. We worked together and I gave her my ideas and she came up with this masterpiece. So, yes, shout out to her.
absolutely. Friends have helped so much always, and she's a ride or die. I can see because she was here already. She was ready to go at 2. Um, so I want to get into the first song on your list. I want to know also, do you have a sort of did you organize it in a specific way?
Originally when I was recording, no. I picked how I want to organize it after all of the songs are finished.
Okay. So what was your what was the story you wanted to tell, if you can go through it, or if you want to go through it when we're going through the songs?
So, okay, when I make music, I mostly want people to feel something. And
Mhm.
I felt like because the pandemic isolated us from everyone, we were lacking a lot of love as a collective. We were
Mhm.
lacking a lot of sensitivity and vulnerability. Uh,
Mhm.
so I really wanted to bring that back. And I'm also an astrology lover. So I
Mhm.
decided to drop this during Pisces season because Pisces
Mhm.
is exalted in the planet of Venus. So I just wanted to make this really about just love. And I wanted people to listen to it and feel something again. I wanted people to listen to it and have an urge to connect with others. And so that was my main purpose. And so when I uh, created that intention, I decided to make it about a love story
Mm.
because everyone can connect or relate to love, or everyone at least craves love at some points in
Mhm.
their life. And so that was the main thing I wanted to sing about.
So I'm curious. That's interesting. I had no idea. I know very little about astrology. I know that I have a lot of Aquarius, like a lot of Aquarius. Like I'm an Aquarius, but then I also have like in most of my houses, I'm Aquarius, and then I'm like Libra in like my work house or something. I
Mhm.
don't know necessarily what that means, but it's very interesting. My teacher, she did my chart for me,
Oh,
and she's been doing
awesome.
it for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, so I love love. I imagine everyone does, but for me, I've specifically, it's been a thing. It's been a cohesive thing across my entire life, and I've always like loved Valentine's Day. Even
Mhm.
and I remember people going like, oh, like I was 12 when I said them. They were like, "When you have a partner, like when you have a boyfriend, you're not gonna like it anymore." And I'm like, I don't know. And I still like it, and I've had my heart broken before. So
Mhm. Yeah,
um,
that's the beauty of love. You can
absolutely,
literally get your heart broken so many times and still crave a new experience with someone else.
absolutely. Um, so do you have like a mission statement on like a philosophy on love necessarily? Like I don't know about a mission statement, but
That's a deep question. Okay, let me
yeah,
think about this for a second.
yeah, of course.
Um, love is free. It's not possession.
Mm,
Um, yeah. And I would say love isn't necessarily what you think it is.
mhm,
And then I'll just say take it or leave it like that. You can interpret that however you want. But
mhm. I agree. I find that as I've gotten older and I'm with a partner that I really, really I love him and I wouldn't mind marrying him, but who knows, I'm young still. Um and I think that there's a certain level of compromise that will always be there because there's things you're going to have to compromise, but you shouldn't ever feel like it's a burden to be in this relationship. It should add to your life, not take from your life. And that was something that took me a long time to realize. And it
mhm,
took me a long time for it to click. But when
mhm.
it did, it was there.
Yeah, especially if you grow up just watching everybody else cater to other people and not cater to themselves.
Hmm.
Like a lifelong journey of figuring out how to not people please, how to love yourself, how to get centered and grounded again.
Um, sorry, my internet cut out.
It's okay. It's okay. I was like wondering if it was my internet or because
No, it
my
was
internet is out too.
no, it was mine. It just stopped working. So I cut out at lifelong journey, which is what I yes.
Yeah, so I was just saying like you know, self-love is a lifelong journey, especially if you grew up watching people cater to others and never catering to themselves, and you kind of pick
Mhm,
up on that behavior, and then you have to
mhm,
relearn that self-love is important. You shouldn't be sacrificing all of your needs for someone else because it'll just leave you drained.
mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It should be a partnership, and it should be in every way, and you should enjoy your time with them, and you should enjoy your just all the time with them, whether or not it's just like hanging out, or you're going somewhere, or you're doing work, or you're having trouble. It should be you should still even have disagreements in a way that works for both of you, because if you're having, I don't know, I find that aggressive passion in a toxic way is not ideal.
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely.
um so with that, I also am curious about, I'm also asking you about just like general music stuff. On your I'm now in Spotify because that's what I typically use. But Flight to Venus then in commas it says EP, and I would love to know what that stands for.
Oh, so an EP is just it just means like a shorter album.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, so let's just jump right in. So, also, if there's any songs which you'd like um to play, I can play it through here, and we can listen to it as a group, and we can also listen to certain parts. If there's like certain like stamps that you'd like to go through, then that's fine with me too. So the first song in your album is Galactic Dream. So do you want to kind of discuss that with us?
Yes. Galactic Dream is my absolute favorite off of this project just because I feel like this is the song that I really executed as far as like the sound that I wanted. Um really wanted this project to sound otherworldly and like it was from a different universe. So I feel like Galactic Dream definitely fits that description and my intention the
Mhm,
most out of every song on this project. Um, I was really amazed at the way I was able to create certain melodies and harmonies that were kind of they're a bit odd or just
mhm,
different from like what you normally hear on songs. Um, and yeah, Galactic Dream is mostly about um, a level of vulnerability that you begin to get in the initial stages of a
mhm,
relationship when you're first getting to know that person and you
mhm,
start to wonder like, am I on your mind as much as you're on my mind?
mhm,
Like, are you thinking about me the way that I'm thinking about you? And then you get this like weird possessive feeling of like,
mhm,
well, I want to be the only person on your mind.
mhm,
And I want to be that. I don't want you to think of me like you think of anyone else. Like, I
mhm,
want to be that special person in your life. And I think that's what Galactic Dream is about. It's
mhm,
asking like, "Do you see me? Do you see me?" Um, it's
mhm.
it's saying I do wanna play the song,
Absolutely.
so you can, like, get a feel of what I mean, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And then after, I want to comment about a couple lyrics that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to point out, because I had them in my mind before, but I didn't have the exact words, and so I googled it, and you have the words up on a website, which is so cool. There's so many places and so many indie artists who I've seen who don't have their words up, and then it's so hard to like look at them and meditate on them.
Yeah, because I mumble sing, so I have to have the lyrics up so people know what I'm singing. Yeah.
That's very fair. So, I'm going to play it and then we'll see if it goes through or not. Can you guys hear that?
Yes, please.
LS got I wanna be irreplaceable. I just wanna be remembered by you. I wanna be irreplaceable. Don't wanna be like no other girls. I wanna occupy your world. Do you think of me when you wake up and when you sleep? Do you see me in your dreams? We communicate telepathically. I wanna be your galactic dream. Your galactic dream. Yes, yes, I care about what you think of me and what you see in me. Yes, yes, I care about what you think of me and what you see in me. Your galactic dream. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? Your galactic dream. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? Your galactic dream. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? Your galactic dream. Do you see me? Looking outside my window, I'm just praying for peace of mind. When I'm with you, I am fine. If I'm not by your side, I get so anxious, I get so scared. I want you near. It feels so good to be cherished by you. All of the moves that I'm doing for you, sacrifice my time for you. Made you feel like you were the only one in my life. Yeah, I sacrificed my time for you. Made you feel like you were the only one. You were the only one. Yes, yes, I care about what you think of me, what you see in me. Yes, yes, I care about what you think of me and what you see in me. Your galactic dream. Do you see it now? Do you see it now? Do you see me? Your galactic dream. Do you see me? Do you see it? Do you see me? Okay, so sorry, I muted your mic because there was some feedback, so please unmute your mic.
Oh, yeah, no worries, no worries. I figured that's what it was.
Yeah, not a problem. So I want to comment, there's some comments, and then also, what a great song.
Thank you.
That's so good. I was like, and I commented before we got on that this whole album is such a vibe. Like, it's a type of thing which you can put on and work to. It's the type of thing which you can put on in bed and listen to. You can I don't know, lay outside in the sun, listen to it. There's so many things you can really listen and think about the lyrics. There's so many. It's such a good album, essentially. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
of course. So we have a couple of comments. So Bree gave a 100%, which is true, 100. And then love your music. And then we have a question from Priscilla, who everyone knows, and Indigo, you may not. She's my boss, and she runs the communications at Arts and NJ. She just said, since this is an EP, do you have plans for an LP? If so, what kind of themes and sounds do you anticipate for the full project?
Yes, I do. So I definitely want my next project to be very relatable. I want to speak on many different things that humans experience, from jealousy to greed to hatred to happiness to all different waves of emotions. I want this to be a very spiritual project that people can listen to guide them in their healing. So that's my next step as far as what I want to create. Um, I noticed, like, in my creation process, I tend to like to do shorter projects for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm from Gen Z and we have like short attention spans because of just being on social media all the time and on our phones. But I do see the beauty and the essence of why longer projects are so important. So I definitely want to challenge myself to create a lot more and create a longer project.
Hmm.
As far as the sounds that I would definitely want to do more with, like, real instruments. I want this to just create different vibrations that are less technology influenced and more instrumental and more natural.
Yeah, this was a really interesting theme. Galactic was the word I was trying to think of. Anyway, but this is an interesting choice for the technology that you had, because it is a very technological theme, and it's very beep boop is not, it is, but you used what you had super well, and it doesn't skip a beat, to proverbially speak. And then Priscilla also asked another question, which leans into what you were talking about. We're making a longer project. And also, altogether, this album is 16 minutes. So if you are feeling, oh, I have a free 20 minutes, just, pop in a pair of earbuds, or log on to Apple Play or Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever you guys use and take a listen. So she said, do you encounter any writer's block? And if so, how do you overcome that?
Yes, I do encounter writer's block. In fact, so my very first EP that I dropped it in 2019. I recorded it in 2018. And that entire year of 2019, I had writer's block the entire year. I took a year off. I did not make any music because my mind was just not in a creative space. And sometimes um, it does take that long for me. I have to experience things. I have to get inspired. I have to feel motivated.
Mhm.
It was also like my senior year in college, so I was just going through a lot of. I just had a lot of mental anxiety when it came to what my next steps were going to be, and so creating music just wasn't in my headspace because I had so many other stressful things going on in my head. So it definitely depends on my state of mind, and so that's why I am developing a spiritual routine so that I can always have time to be inspired and stay inspired. I think having some sort of regimen a day can really help me stay grounded and curate the music that I want. But for the most part, like, I definitely do experience writer's block. Hopefully, it won't be another year, but even if it is, I think how I overcome it is by not beating myself up for having writer's block and just enjoying the break, taking the break, not overthinking it, just living life, experiencing it, and try to detach from any musical thoughts. And then when I come back harder than ever. So I think just embracing the block itself and not trying to force anything is what helps me overcome writer's block.
Definitely. And I didn't even mention she has a whole other album called Genesis, which you could totally go check out. And then that album cover reminds me of an album cover from one of my other favorite artists, CJ the X, and it reminds me of his album cover Bars, which is interesting. I like how it's drawn. Did you draw it or does someone else draw it?
Yeah, so my friend Harry drew it. When he drew it, I was just like, wow, like this is exactly what I wanted. So yeah, it was perfect.
It's very zombie. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I wanted it to be very different. So
definitely. And then we have some star emojis from Manny and a nice beat from Stephanie, which is what I noticed immediately when I was listening to it, is that it's a good beat and it's just like, which feels really good to listen to. So some lyrics that I'd like to point out because I'm curious. The one which really stuck with me is "I don't want to be replaceable. I don't want to be like no other girls." That lyric is interesting, and that feels like that feels like the theme, the thesis statement of this song,
mhm,
and and then also reminds me of what you said earlier about how love is not possessive.
yeah.
Um, and if you have any comments about that, that'd be interesting. And then also we have another comment. Looking great.
Um, yeah. So I feel like okay, that line, I don't want to be like any other girls. I want to be irreplaceable.
Mhm.
That just speaks to the ego, the power of the
Mhm.
ego, and how regardless of how not possessive love is, you still sometimes create those thoughts in your head because we all have an ego, right? It's like, we can try to get rid of it, but it's still there. And so, when you really like someone, you just start thinking like, well, I want to be the only girl you like. Like I don't want to share you with anyone. And so I guess that's what that line speaks to.
Absolutely. And then two more comments on some lyrics, and then if you have any lyrics you'd like to point out, and then we can move on to maybe one other song because we're running out of time. Even though I wanted to go through each one, but they're packed with so much thought that we just can focus on them for so long.
Mhm,
So I wanted to comment about sacrifice.
mhm,
My sacrificed my time for you.
mhm.
Sacrifice is a really not ideologically symbolically heavy word. And I'd like your comment on that too.
Yeah, it just goes to show um when you do care about someone, you're more inclined to want to do more for them. And then that also speaks to another lyric I wanted to talk about, which
Mm.
was, yes, I care about what you think of me.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, and people try to act like, in those vulnerable moments, they don't care about what anyone thinks. They're like, I'm gonna do me, I don't care. But in reality, like when you do have love for someone, you do want to make them proud. You do want to make sure that like you're in good standing with them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a people pleasing kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's just more so like that kind of anxious feeling you get when you feel like, does this person still love me? Am I still
Mhm.
on their mind? I feel like that's a kind of human feeling, and so that's what I really wanted to bring up in this song.
I agree. And I thought it was interesting that I interpret that in a different way, which just lends to art being interpretive. The yes, yes, repetition of yes and yes, like the yes, yes, I care.
Hmm.
It is I interpret it as like yeah, I know, like yeah, I care, like I want you to know this, like come on, like please, like listen to me, yes, I
Hmm.
care, like I
Hmm.
which is an interesting difference, and it promotes the same feeling though. It's still
Yeah, it's a little bit of that too. I was gonna say, like, it definitely connects with those two examples.
definitely. So I want to run through the rest of the songs, the like names of them, and
Mhm.
then if you want to point out some of the names or talk about specifically, totally. So the next one on the album is Love Sensei, which is very curious for me, because why Sensei?
Because I guess, like, in this song, I wanted it to be about how if I show you that I'm ready for you to love me, you can learn how to love in general.
Mm,
So it's kind of like a mirroring effect where it's like,
mm,
if I show you love, you'll show me love. And
mhm.
if I'm in a certain vibration, then you'll be in a certain vibration. And
It's
really
learning to love together.
learning to love together.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That's
Mhm.
beautiful. And then the next one is LYTM, which is the name of which is your single from
Yes.
earlier,
Love you
right?
too much. Yes.
Love you too much. That's cute.
Mhm. Yeah. That's
Um,
about um when you love someone enough to let them go, or
mm,
um you love them too much to smother them anymore. So you
mm.
just yeah.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
That whole dynamic, like we've all heard it before, but when you really think about all the implications of it, it's really, really heartbreaking.
Absolutely. It is.
Um,
It is.
because it's a whole other level of selflessness.
Mhm.
If this person is not happy, then you may have to let them go, but
Yeah.
um it's also been misinterpreted, I imagine, quite a bit, not necessarily your song, but just the idea of loving someone so you let them go, that it's hard to meditate on your feelings, because if you are the one who wants to let them go, then it's not that, and it's just the dynamic change.
Yeah.
So the next one is Flight to Venus Interlude.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Mhm. So that title speaks to um the act of wanting to fly to that person. Okay, so say you're in a relationship, you guys start to get comfortable and there's some distance going on. It's like you get this weird, like codependent kind of mindset, and you're like, well, I'll fly to you. Like,
Mhm,
I hope you didn't find another woman. I hope,
mhm,
like, we're still in good standing. So
mhm.
it was just about that yearning for someone else when they're away from you.
Definitely. I don't remember which one it is, but there's one where it's a like make love to me tonight and you can touch me, which I thought was it was beautifully sensual, and then it was also interesting. Um is that one Flight to Venus Interlude, or is that I Lost My Lover?
That's Love Sensei.
Love Sensei. So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
second one in.
yeah. Mhm.
I just remember thinking, because I guess I looped it, and so I thought, wow, this is like interesting, its placement.
Mhm.
Because where you begin your physical intimacy in a relationship does say something about the relationship.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so then the next one is I Lost My Lover.
Mhm.
So that one's a pretty distinct title.
Yes. So that one speaks to, after all the chasing and codependency and wanting to know if, things are still good, you find out things aren't good, but it's okay because at the end of the day, the girl that I'm talking about in this story, she set the intention early on that she was going to be irreplaceable and that
Mhm,
she wants uh, her love interest to remember her. So
mhm,
now once they broke up, it's, I lost my lover, but he can't do any better than me because I'm irreplaceable.
mm,
Sometimes I miss you, sometimes sometimes I'm okay. So
mhm.
that's pretty much what that song is about. It's
And it
it's an upbeat vibe. It's cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it would be an upbeat vibe, but it is. Um,
Mhm.
and then it also feels very much like, I'm doing fine, and
Mhm.
like I didn't really need this. I didn't need your whole nonsense. Like, I'm doing great,
Mhm.
which is a really just it's a good vibe.
Mhm.
Um, and then Homeland
Yes,
is the last one on the album.
it's the last song. And Homeland is just about how everything comes back full circle.
Mhm.
Now that the woman is over it and she's moved on and she is happy with herself, now the love interest has come back. He's come
Mhm.
back and wants to make it work. And now she's like, the first line is, I just got too much going on to care about you now. So
Mhm.
it's like, now you coming back when I've already moved on. I've been through the emotions. I've cried it out. I'm over you. And now you want to come back? No, sorry. So that it's like in the entire EP, it starts she's craving this person and she goes through all the emotions of feeling codependent,
Mhm.
feeling anxious, feeling in love, and then it goes to, oh, it's over now, I'm doing me. And now it's
Mhm.
like, but now you want to come back? No, it's not going down like that.
It reminds me of the end of Legally Blonde. When he comes back and he's like, "Oh, like we're gonna like when Warner comes back and is like, "Oh, we're gonna, let's get married now," because he lost all of his everything and then
Mhm.
she's like, "Actually, I'm doing great." So like,
Right.
no thanks.
And it always happens that way. They always come back. They always come back. So just do you. It's fine.
um so with that we're going to start closing down soon, but I would love to promote it one more time. Check out Flight to Venus. Check out Genesis. Check out just all of this, and follow her on Spotify because she's going to be producing more things.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to talk about your upcoming project because I know you have one coming up, and I'm super excited.
Mhm. Yes. So I am creating another project. Still debating if I want it to be a full album or just an EP. Um, but I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm
Mhm.
just very excited. So be on the lookout in a couple of months.
Definitely, and when it gets posted, we will post it and hype it up on our Instagram and other social medias. And also, if you want to check her out on social media, her at is here. That is on Instagram. Is it on anything else?
No, just
Okay,
Instagram. Yep.
just Instagram because that is the most iconic of the um, social media websites. You can post the most interesting of photos on there. Um, and I don't. I just. I'm really. I'm amazed by this album. I think it's super neat, and I think you did a lot of. I imagine a lot of self meditation and a relationship meditation to get to this point where you can deconstruct it into songs like this. And I want to commend you on that. And if you have any advice for anyone when they're meditating on it, whether or not they're producing something from that in an artistic way, just I'd like your advice on just balancing through each of these stages essentially of relationship.
So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate the support.
Of course.
And as far as advice, I would just say it's okay to take breaks because I feel like when you force things or when you try to come up with something, it never works. Just let it happen organically. I'll be brushing my teeth and then a song lyric will pop in my head and then I have to write it down or voice memo it. So those are those organic moments that curate this project that I created and other projects I'm going to create. So just let things happen organically. Don't be afraid to take breaks. If you have writer's block, don't worry about it. Don't try to force it. Just wake up the next day and try again.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best advice I can give.
Definitely. Um, and that happens to me too, where things just connect. Like for me, what happens, how I organize my art is I come up with a bunch of things, like symbols and ideas, and then they just click at some point, and I that feels similar um to your vibe is like you come up with all these ideas and then you connect them at the end, and that's just really
Yeah,
cool. And
yeah.
then we have a new fan. Um, so with that, I'm gonna close down the stream, And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I hope everyone goes and streams Flight to Venus and Genesis. Super, super cool, super groovy music. And Indigo's such a groovy lady. And go follow her on Instagram. I'll put the at up again. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, stays safe, and is careful with all the new mandate changes.
Yes. Thanks everyone for tuning in.